that I use quotes a lot. Since 1995, lean thinking and its practice has really been, I call it my playground. I just continue to learn and have been fortunate to see and be mentored by many great colleagues and pioneers. I'll skip the part about affiliation. I work at Michigan State University, and that the bio has information about that. For our topic, the conditions of satisfaction, I'd like really to spend the time with you to examine why we went to lean integrated project delivery or lean project delivery at the university, at Michigan State University. The motivation there may be something that you will find appealing, or you will find maybe some key things that you may build on. I will talk about a specific project we did, the first project we did, and it actually happens to be the first project in a public, by a public owner in the United States. I'll talk about that in the context of explaining how we structured the deal or the contract. And the lean design methods that really focus primarily on target value design, which is the topic of the two books you have been reading. I'll share the benefits and lessons learned during what we call the validation and design process. If we get the chance to have a part 2 for this webinar, we will talk about the construction phase and the lessons learned from the construction phase. I'll highlight some results from the construction phase as much as I can, but this is really an hour and a half is limited. The outline, what I'd like to kind of go over so that you anticipate what is going to be happening is first, why lean IPD at MSU? So lean integrated project delivery or lean project delivery, and the project itself, the integrated lean project delivery approach, the integrated lean project delivery methods, and some examples, what we learned, and we'll wrap up. And in the wrap up, Dr. Luai will take over and do some of the normal and typical plus deltas, and we will take also questions. And if there are burning questions during the presentation, just indicate that, and Dr. Luai will moderate that as he sees fit. Before we start, I wanted to understand where you're at with two of the topics that are going to be central for today. So Dr. Luai is going to share a poll. The first poll is going to be about lean construction. Are you familiar with lean construction? Yes, somewhat, or not yet. So just to be able to level set and see where we're at.
We still have about 10 still not participated. We will wait for few more seconds to give you time to.
Yeah, it's not an exam, so don't worry. It doesn't count your certificate or anything. It's just really to gauge where I can speed up if needed throughout the slides. So it takes into account where we're at.
Last call. Okay. I'm ending the first poll now.
Okay. Okay, very good. So we have a good percentage of the group familiar with lean construction, and we have a group that's in the somewhat and not yet. So if we go to the next question, Dr. Luay, the next question is more specific, and that's about lean project delivery. So it's more centered around the topic. So you're kindly, if you can also respond to the question. 70%, 30.
Okay, last few seconds. I'm ending the poll now.
Okay, so a little bit less familiarity with this one. Maybe we can say 50%, 50-50 roughly. So that gives a good sense of kind of where we're at with the two topics. So I'll take that into account, and thank you for indulging us on doing that. Okay, thank you, Dr. Light. So we'll start first with why lean integrated project delivery at MSU. And I will talk really from a story standpoint. So I'd like to share the story as it happened as much as I have basically experienced it, so that you kind of live the story with me. In a university, as any owner on the call or on the webinar, or our colleagues who are in design or in construction, they know owners have capital facility delivery projects. One of those for us is the dining halls, where the students gather to basically have their meals. So there was an initiative to upgrade all the dining halls in a systematic way. It was almost a 15-year program. So as we're doing this, we typically identify the dining hall that's going to be, renovated next and upgraded. And typically the budgets are set based on the scope of the work and what we call the study phase. This is pre-program, conceptual phase, if you will. And architects typically will be involved in that phase. So we identify its location. Typically, we know the building that it's in. It's usually a residence hall with a dining hall attached to it. And our process is very typical. Schematic design development, and then construction documents, and then the construction process proceeds. And we have typically involved, as a better practice, the construction management party A little bit almost in 50% design development or a little bit after that. But everything is all the specialty trades, subcontractors, we like to call them specialty trades in Lean, they join us after basically the project is put out for bid and awards start to happen. We use basically CM at risk, construction management at risk, and that's the main model. We have a lot of design bid build also, but for smaller projects that the scope is very clear. We then, get into the, this is actually a P3 schedule. We use P6 as well now. But what happens is our experience is that the optimism bias, where you start something and finish something, you have a plan. This is the start date of the project. This is the finish date of the project, and we create a plan. We think everything is going to go very well. That's something that humans, we as humans, have, which is called the optimism bias, thinking that you are going to have everything fall in place and according to your assumptions, and everything is going to be perfect. Reality is very different, and we all face this in construction projects. And what happens is we get cost overruns, and we get also schedule delays. Our schedule delays are problematic because students cannot wait to get into classes. They cannot wait to get into residence halls. And of course, all owners will have their own issues with delays. So in 2007, the vice president of finance and operations, basically, this is the vice president who procures, is responsible for all the construction projects on campus. He has the budget, and he has also the executive authority. That's Dr. Fred Poston right here in the picture with the arrow, green arrow pointing to him. So in one of the meetings, he said, is there a project delivery method that would not make me feel embarrassed when I go into the board of trustees meetings and ask for more money or more time to complete projects that 3 months before or 6 months before or 9 months before I was in front of them and I told them, this is the cost of the project, and this is the budget, and this is when we will finish. And I hate doing this every time we do a project. So he was fed up. He was and his background, he's actually a faculty administrator. He is an entomologist by training, but he rose in he was a dean of a college, and then he became the vice president of finance and operations. He said, I want best value, not price certain, because any fool, excuse me, can give me that. So that was really the question he posed. And at the time, we were active in lean construction. We had some research going on with the university, with him actually in particular. He funded research. So I said, really, Dr. Poston, you don't want the lowest bid for a high cost design. You're looking for a true low cost for the right design. And he said, yes, that's exactly what I want. And I said, in order to get there, we need to adopt lean, and we need to also adopt lean integrated project delivery. So he said, okay, what are the benefits? And I had spoken to him about the difference between lean integrated project delivery and our normal way of contracting. And I said we now contract in a transactional manner. In lean integrated project delivery, it's a relational contracting. So he asked also, what is relational contracting? He's not familiar with it. And he asked me, what is lean? What is lean thinking? He heard all these terms in how we were describing lean integrated project delivery. And he said, what is lean project delivery? And what is lean construction? And are we ready as a university? So as an administrator, he asked all these questions. And he was really looking for responses and to decide whether he's going to move in this direction or not, because we're a public university, there's a lot of constraints. So I shared with him the benefits. I said that these are the benefits of lean that we know about in the construction industry. Higher productivity, we can have earlier completion if we desire that as a target, fewer accidents and fewer RFIs, fewer change orders. And he said, really, we can get fewer RFIs. I said, yes. And it has to do with the way we're going to actually be contracting and the way in general we function and behave on these projects. So he was interested. So he asked, we went to the next question, which is, what is relational contracting? And I shared with him that this is the opposite of transactional contracting, where transactional contracting is you have a contract for producing something as a transaction. So it could be a contract for producing cell phones, a contract for producing new agendas with calendars for 2023. So there is a clear product that's being transacted between two people or two entities. In this case, the relational contract is very different. It's not just about the legal terms and the conditions, but it recognizes two important things. It's very hard to predict uncertainties. They're just going to happen, and the parties involved are going to resolve and work on resolving these uncertainties. So he told me, this sounds like marriage. I told him that's exactly like marriage. So we talked a little bit more about the nuances in relational contracting and what is that. So he asked, what is lean? And in sharing lean with him, had to kind of really start from basic kind of definition. So I told him you were looking for value, and value is really results minus the expectations. So the results you're looking for is the structure completed. Other people will look for product being shipped, the service being fulfilled. We're looking for the structure being completed. So that's the result. And of course, you had expectations when you started this to be on time, on budget, and certain quality. And we now have sustainability and safety and other things. So that's basically, and the way you get that is through this process. So I said, really, lean has really been defined as how can we create more value as defined by you, the owner. And really in the definition, it's creating more value as defined by the customer the stakeholder, the client, the guest, the student, the constituent. So it's really the receiver, recipient of whatever it is that you're really going to provide. And I said with less capital expenditure, so less money, less human effort, not less humans, less time and space, by removing waste from the work that generates that value. And this basically was the basic definition of lean. As a side, for us here for the webinar, this is not something I discussed with the vice president. What did people hear from this definition based on Dr. Womack mentioning this? They heard that basically there is waste between from the time the customer orders or the owner issues an RFP to the time the process itself takes place, and to the time that actually things are shipped or the structure is complete or the service is fulfilled. And there became a sense of that lean is about you maximize value by removing waste, and if you remove this waste, you have indeed maximized the value for the customer, the owner, and so on and so forth, which is actually a part, but not all of what lean is about. So it's about generating value for the customer or for the owner, to allow the owner or the customer to do more than they were able to do initially. So we'll talk about that in the context of the example we're at. So he asked about, what is lean thinking? So I explained what is lean thinking. It's about problem solving and changing the culture. And he was interested in this because he said, okay, so how is this going to change culture? I said, lean thinking changes behavior and results in different attitude, and that's going to impact the culture. So he was thinking about this from a university standpoint. So that was all good. So he asked about, okay, this lean project delivery, what is it going to do for me? And I said, or for us, as a Michigan State University, I said, well, it's better value for us because you have the executors, the construction folks, the maintenance and operations folks involved in the design, where they inform the design. And money will actually move across traditional boundaries. So what the electrician saves in fulfilling their design requirement can be moved to the mechanical contractor to fulfill their extra budget that they find out as we are designing the project. So he was surprised by that. And I said, accounting transparency. We will be transparent. The parties have to be transparent. So he was worried about some of the legal issues here, but we said we will work on those. Other things that he said, other things I shared with him about the characteristics. It's a multi-party contract. It's not just us to the architect and to the general contractor or the construction manager. There is collaborative decision making. There's a lot of features here that are different. The early involvement of key participants, this notion of shared risk and reward. So if there's a different way of setting this up so that you incentivize the entire parties to have collaborative innovation and solve problems together. And I said there's an entire system that has to be put in place. It's called the Lean Project Delivery System. And if you're familiar with lean construction, you may have seen this in training or development or in your readings. But essentially, this is developed by the Lean Construction Institute, and it's really intended to give all the needed phases and work steps within these phases to allow us to organize how we will do lean project delivery, but has nothing to do with the contractual arrangement. It actually doesn't speak to the contractual arrangement. It just speaks to the really how to set up and structure the process. So he asked about lean construction. He said, you talk about lean construction. I said it's a somewhat of a misnomer. It's really lean in the construction industry. So it also involves design. It involves construction. It's not just about the construction phase. It's also about the supply chain. So, and I said, basically, it's a way of really looking at construction so that when we want to arrive at the ideal state of designing and constructing a facility that generates the most value for us by two things. The first thing is achieving a state of early and common understanding of client needs and wants among all project participants. So he said, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I like that, but I don't understand what you mean exactly. How are we going to do that? And the other thing I said, okay, I'll get to that. And the other thing is we want to do the right things right the first time during all the phases. He said, okay, yeah, you want to be efficient and effective. I expect all the contractors to be doing that and all the designers, but I said, yes, but how they get there is the key. So let's talk about the common understanding. What do we mean by that? I said, this is the typical way we engage our parties on a construction project at Michigan State or any other owner for that matter. You have an architect hired very early on. You have engineers hired and consultants after that. The CM and the GC, that's early, actually, for them to be hired at design development. And then as soon as you're done with construction documents, you hire the major trades. During construction itself, after awards, the understanding of what is being built starts to actually become more common amongst all these trades, because as you are adding people, if somebody joins us now in the webinar, they will not have a common understanding of what we just talked about. So you have to catch them up. And by catching them up, when this happens between people, it's about handoffs. And handoffs are very, very fragile when it happens between people about information and what happened in the construction, in the design phase, pre-construction phase. So he said, okay, so how does this happen in Lean IPD? I said, well, we try to hire as many of the team members as possible early on, so the common understanding is basically as high as it can be from the beginning. And this avoids a lot of issues and a lot of the change orders and the RFIs and so on and so forth. So conceptually, he really liked and gravitated to the idea. He said, okay, we want to really want to make this happen, but this other thing about the doing the right things right the first time during all phases. He said, I'm not sure that I understand how this is unique to lean construction. I expect all contractors to do this or to be doing the right thing right the first time. Are we going to pay them more to do this? I said, no, no, no. It's not about paying them more. And I said, you know, the current the best way to understand this is the current CM practices, construction management practices, focus on project management, and they leave production management to the site personnel. And I said, you know, imagine a sailboat, and the mainsail and the rudder at the bottom here, rudder and mainsail, their job on a sailboat is to determine direction. That's project management. And I told him the jib, this part of the sailboat, he told me himself, because I know that he's a sailing aficionado. I don't sail. So he told me, yes, the jib is to make sure that the ride is balanced, and it's not really jittery, and it's not, you know, flimsy. So it's a smooth sail. And I said that's exactly what lean construction, with respect to that second idea about doing the right things right the first time during all phases, is trying to do. Both project management and production management are needed. We need direction, but we need to have a stable, smooth ride. The unstable ride means RFIs, you know, change orders, delays, ASI, whatever it is. So he liked that, again, conception. So he asked me this question, and I told him, he said, are we ready? Are we ready as an institution that has been building for, at the time, 150 years? We build in a certain way, we procure in a certain way. There's a lot of tradition. So are we ready? I said, I don't know. I really don't know. And if you want me to be honest, we have to look at this if we are ready for something like this, because it's not a on-off switch. You know, we're going to turn the switch on and we're ready to do lean IPD. It's a change, organizational change. So we did assemble a team. We called it an investigation team, and we had some business partners, basically an architect and a construction party representative of those, and of the specialty trades, legal also representation. I'm trying to remember. I think we had union also, labor union representation, and of course the owner. And we were concerned about the legal, the process, and the behavior, and the readiness itself sides. So we asked all of these questions as they relate to really the lean IPD or lean project delivery. You can call it lean project delivery, lean IPD, integrated lean project delivery, but it's not just IPD. So if you have heard about IPD, there's a way to contract and just do the integrated project delivery, but it doesn't require lean as an operating system. And in my opinion, that doesn't work very well. So so we did this study, and we felt we're ready to try, because we said our goals and the benefits. We went back to the vice president and we said, we have to really try something new. We have been really not having good success with the construction management model, the design build model, and the design bid build. And so we need to try this. That's about, something about being a university. So we can do this and also grow our partners around the region. So that was kind of the appeal we made, and we also warned about some of the risks. We said some of the risks are really this is a new approach. We're going to have a learning curve associated for us, for our partners, and it's going to require people to work in a collaborative environment. It's very different. The way we called it subcontractor selection at that time, but that's how the slide was presented to the vice president. But again, as I said, we call subcontractors specialty trades in lean, and we just had these risks to share. But at the end, he went for it and decided to really go for it. And about the collaborative environment, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, just to give you a sense of what that really means. The electrical contractor on this particular job that I'm going to share, he told me, Tarek, on every job I do and I get awarded, an electrical panel is a change order waiting to happen. And I just, we go around and check all the electrical panels, and we know these are change orders, and we're just going to raise that during the construction. He said on this job, the electrical panels, we knew that there's problems with them because this is a renovation for one thing, but we wanted them to, we were looking at how are we going to make these work before we actually get into the construction site. So if you want another testimony about collaboration, I don't know what other statement would make you realize that this is an environment that we should be seeking. So the vice president bought this and said, go do it. And so we actually, I'm going to share with you the example of the Shaw Dining Hall project. I share with you its location. It's a kind of middle of campus location, an older design from a residence hall perspective and a dining hall, 60s and 70s architecture, punch windows, brick veneer on the outside, pretty typical for a residence hall. The dining hall itself was typical of most of our dining halls. It's more of a mess hall. Basically, just you gather. This is where the food is, and the students get the food, and then they find the seating, and that was it. So in the strategic planning, the idea was to really upgrade all of this to a much more contemporary design, much more attractive. Why? Because this is money. This is business. A business for the division of student life and engagement, because in addition to the students who pay room and board, there are staff and faculty and students who live off campus who want to eat also on campus. So you want to attract them to come to this dining hall. And this particular division, student life and engagement, they do not get funding from the university. They are independent. So they have to generate their own revenue and spend from that revenue. They do not get $1 from tuition. So the integrated lean project delivery setup, the deal, we said that it's going to be a multi-party agreement. So the architect, Newman Smith, Clark is a construction company. They work as a general contractor. They also work in a construction management capacity, and us. We signed a multi-party agreement, the three of us, that we will work together initially to be basically where one where you have a line, it's actually three circles where the three sign, and we're all really stakeholders of this project. Of course, there are in this particular contract type, it's called Consensus Docs 300. The Consensus Docs 300 has lots of sections, and it does spell out really the lean practices. The AIA, Integrated Project Delivery Contracts, do not spell out lean practices. But essentially, we use the Consensus Docs 300, and it has these different really sections. There's no time, of course, to go through it. And we were more concerned about the deal and not the language in these sections. So how are we going to resolve things? How are we going to have governance? And who's going to have final say and things like that? And how do we get to do things on the project? The collaborative project delivery. So this is spelled out in the contract. So all of us are signing up for really being collaborative, and not the owner cannot be directed. The owner has to work with the architect and the construction manager. And you may think, oh, this is like design build. It's not, because this is still not. We just engaged them and said, we would like you to. This is what we would like you to get into contract with us about. So we're paying them professional hours at this point. They're just working for us on a professional hours basis. We reimburse them for their hours. And we said, typically, this is the allowable budget that we have for the project. The university said, this is what we have, this dashed red line. And we said, this allowable budget is not the budget that's going to allow us to build the project if we put it on the market. So if we put the project on the market, we know that roughly the construction costs and there are some on-bid contract estimates plus the CM fixed fee, we will get to this GMP. So we will be above the allowable budget. And the vice president will have to go back from the beginning and ask for more money. So we told them, we know that if we use lean project delivery, you should be able to be 20% on average below basically market. And from the allowable budget that we have, we expect you to go down to that level. So we will consider this as savings. So we asked them to basically work with us on a target cost, which is called the estimated maximum price, which is this price right here. And then we said we will have a risk pool. This risk pool is their profit, and then there's the construction cost. So they said, okay, we're not sure we can do this. And we said, well, you need to do a validation phase. So we did a validation phase, and in the validation phase, we paid still for their time. And these are the questions they answer in the validation phase. They're really looking at some of the assumptions that they know are embedded in the typical numbers. Because remember, this is a construction manager, this is an architect. They know typically the estimates, at least the construction manager knows what's in the typical numbers, unit prices, and things that they get from subcontractors and or specialty contractors. And so by going through this, what we call validation phase, we gave the architect and the contractor, the general contractor, the CM, construction manager, we gave them the right to refuse to go into this project with us, based on that they would say, sorry, we don't think we can, regardless of if we get trades early on, we don't think we can make this. This is a challenge we are not going to be able to meet. This estimated maximum price from the allowable budget you have, we're not going to be able to meet this. And thank you very much for paying our professional hours for the last 3 weeks or month. And goodbye. So that is a right they can do, but in this case, they actually took the project and they said, we are confident we can work with specialty trades if we have them now to get to this. And the validation phase can be longer or shorter depending on the duration of the project. So Dr. Lai was doing was project manager for Lucelle with other colleagues. Lucelle is a big project that has to be divided into phases and things. So the validation phase would not be a month and a half or 2 months. It's probably could be 6 months just for validation. So from the validation phase, what we came up with is also something we call how the risk pool is going to be divided. So this is the profit that the contractor, general contractor, construction manager, same entity, Clark Construction, and the architect said they will agree to put their profit and the profit of any other specialty trades that signs the lean integrated project delivery contract, and they will put their profit into this, what we call the risk pool. This is profit. The way we're going to give them back their money from this profit pool is, we said, we will distribute this back to you because they were worried about this, and this is the first time they do this. We said 65% you will get back if you meet the construction management on time, on budget, and quality, because you're used to that as a way of doing the project. 35% will come from what we call 5 big ideas, and these 5 big ideas are basically what we consider to be ideas that match the behavior we want to see in lean project delivery. And they said, okay, we will agree with this. And we were trying to be also not too aggressive in the first project we do. So these 5 big ideas, the 35%, you're probably, again, you may be familiar with the 5 big ideas, but these are behaviors that we wanted to see, and the team was evaluating itself every month on these ideas. We created a scorecard, and they evaluate themselves on each of these ideas. Collaborate, really collaborate. We explained what it means in the context of design and also in the context of construction. And the team members, 15 team members were the scorecard committee. They evaluated themselves so that they don't say the owner is being harsh. So we that's what we came out with from the validation phase. That was the deal. So we said this is the allowable budget we have. We'd like you to go below it. That's the target cost. Are you willing to do it or not? They said yes. We said, okay, the deal for the project, for the risk pool is going to be this, 35% and 65%. They agreed. So how do we do this? So we had to look at who is going to join the construction manager, who's going to join the architect, and us as the three who signed the first multi-party contract. And we wanted to add other parties through something called the joining agreement. And that was the electrician, mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultant, engineer, mechanical contractor, and HVAC contractor, equipment installer. I think we had someone else later on, but basically this was the team that will put their money into the risk pool. And we had to, when we talked to put out the bids, we said to the contractors, what we're asking you to bid is the following, because they were not used to bidding this way. We want you to bid basically, tell us what your unit prices are going to be, less the profit. So put your profit on the side and tell us what your unit prices are going to be and your profit. And we also want you to guarantee that you're not going to go above this particular cost. The construction manager estimated how much roughly should go to electrical, how much target cost should go to electrical, should go to mechanical, should go to HVAC. How? Because they know that maybe 30% should go to mechanical, 20% should go to electrical from the total construction cost. This is not, well, it's, I want to say it's not rocket science, but it sometimes feels like it's rocket science, but it's not, in the sense that they have history, they know. And those were enough to say for them, for this particular contractor who won from other electricians who submitted, we said, don't exceed 3 million and tell us what your profit is going to be, but also give us your unit prices without the profit embedded in them. So that's how they bid. So our target value design was something that began from the really beginning. And there's discussion about target value design, target value delivery. They're the same thing, so don't get confused. The target value delivery refers to the management process. The target value design is really when you are deciding the targets themselves. It could be a time or a scheduling target. It could be a cost target, a quality target, any kind of target. Usually we have cost as a target. The target value delivery is how you're going to manage this to get to the target that you decided on, but it does not include the contractual arrangement that that I talked about. So you can do target value delivery without the contractual agreement that I just showed. It may not be as effective, but because you don't have the risk pool, but it will still be, you're still doing the concept. So what we said in this particular project is target value delivery. We're going to use the last planner to organize ourselves in design and construction. During design, we are structure the design work to approach the lean ideal of basically doing things right the first time. We're going to organize in cross-functional teams. So we're not going to have the electrician sit alone, the mechanical sit alone, the HVAC sit alone. We are going to be and the architect sit alone. So it's cross-functional teams. We want to minimize negative iterations. You don't want to keep sending back and forth things that could be resolved if everybody's talking to each other. Use technology is really BIM. Primarily BIM was the main thing that we utilized here to facilitate lean design, and pursuing a set-based strategy. And we'll talk about the set-based as an example in a second. So basically, this was the way we were going to work in the design phase, but also realized that the last planner system, both in design and was going to be working for us also in construction. So here I just gave you the definition for both, and there's always confusion between the two. Again, please don't be confused between the value design and the value delivery. So the value design is you're deciding what the target is, and the delivery is really this management practice, so that you get to the target that you want. Essentially, how are you going to manage all these processes? So we trained the contractors, the specialty contractors, and the general contractors, construction manager, and the architect on all of this, on all of this target value delivery components. And as soon as we trained them, and then went into the schematic design, you would ask them, do you remember in the training when we talked about set-based design? And they would say, what training? And so they have complete amnesia, and the training was maybe 2 weeks ago. So this is a lesson that, there's a big component about learning by doing. So, you want to be careful with the training being really closer to the event, but also sometimes that's not as easy to schedule. So repetition and practice is going to help. Target discussions during this phase, excuse me. This is a sample of really how a target value discussion took place. This happens to be the architecture table. The architect, but there are mechanical and electrical representation. This is an operations person, and the one who's in green, that's looking forward here, and so it's a cross-functional team, and the architect. Right next to this architecture table, there is a mechanical table and there is an electrical table that has cross-functional teams. So the architect was short, I think, in his designs, 50,000 or something like that from the target. So he would ask the table next to him, the mechanical, and he would say, how are you doing on your cost? And the mechanical table might say, oh, we're plus 200,000. And he would say, can you give us 50,000? And they would say, oh, sure, no problem. So that's how money transfers across boundaries with no issue. Again, the concept of a big room is basically what we're utilizing here. And that's when we would have entire team meetings we come together as an entire team, but then we break out And I put some sample agendas so that you see that it's there's different systems, and then there's breakouts. We did track hours, professional hours, because we were paying the specialty trades, and we were paying the architect and the construction manager professional hours stripped from their profit for their presence during the schematic design and detail design and so on. So they were not getting their profits because it's held into the risk. They get it back at the end. It's like retainage. So we were tracking those. We had the projected cost and actual expenditure, and we were looking at that. The A3 was utilized to communicate to the university, to communicate between the team members. So that's another tool that's useful during target value delivery. We did the last planner system during design. These are designers. They're not construction team members, but the construction manager is with them. The electrical contractor and the mechanical is with them to talk about their needs related to the designs. So it's still applicable, the last planner system in design, and that's how this team utilized it. They had commitment logs for the different, basically, work they had to do, and we had daily huddles to really look at how the design work is progressing, just like you have daily huddles in the last planner system for construction work. One of the important concepts is the set-based design, and we'll talk about that with choosing by advantages. So for a floor plan like this, which is the original floor plan, we basically wanted to look at the architectural design called for clustered venues. The clustered venues are these ovals shaded where you would have basically where the main the food is, and so they're clustered, they're closer together, or they're what's called distributed venues. The food locations are distributed, as you see. So each one has pros and cons, or advantages and disadvantages. In set-based design, in point-based design, usually the architect will talk to the owner, and the owner might decide on, let's go with distributed. And the decision is made at a time where there's not enough information to make that decision, but the decision is made so that we move on. And 3 months later, it's discovered that we should be doing clustered design instead of the distributed. And either there's going to be redesign, costly redesign, or we're just going to bite the bullet and continue with the distributed, which affects a lot of other things other than just the way it looks. Operations is affected, plumbing is affected, electrical, and so on and so forth. So in set-based design, and by the way, for our operations people, they don't look at 2D and understand it. So we had the estimator really, this is the existing, to the left here is the existing dining hall. To the right is what we kind of envisioned what's going to be happening. And the rectangular blue rectangle, I'm just showing you where the kind of the same location is going to be for that curtain wall that's glass. So this way the operations folks can also have opinions about the distributed venue and the clustered venue. And in doing that, we basically show them a little bit more how circulation is going to look like. They don't, the 2D doesn't work for them. They don't speak 2D. So once we basically go with both options, the clustered and the distributed, and we go with them as a set, as a design set. We continue maturing both designs, and as if we don't know which one is going to be chosen until what we call the last responsible moment, which is the moment beyond which, if we don't decide, we're going to compromise the program. The last responsible moment in a traditional project is called too early without enough information. So as we proceed with both designs, the set-based design, it gives us the opportunity to collect more information about the two designs so that we can do this comparison using a system called choosing by advantages. You may or may not have heard of it. It doesn't matter. What it is, it's a decision-making tool that helps you with alternatives. So if you have any system that can help you with deciding on alternatives, you can use that. This happens to be very commonly used and in at least the pre-construction phase for these for integrated lean project delivery. So the BIM process, I'm going to start to go a little bit quicker so that I can leave some time for questions. But the BIM process, again, I said it's part of that target value delivery. We needed technology to help with having you reach the lean ideal. So it's related to helping really meeting the targets for the mechanical contractor, electrical contractor. So they were really important for them to see lamp and lighting heights for across the venues. There were some clashes, but that's not the best use of BIM. But this happened, with so. But it was resolved in design. This is a representation from the senior estimator on the project, and he told me, Tarek, in another college that we're doing a project for, that's not Michigan State University, we happen to be doing a very similar project. You can see how the cost is evolving for the project. It doesn't have a lot of really, major changes. It just has these periods of nothing, and then it spikes, periods of nothing, and then it goes down, and so on. He said he was sharing this graph versus what we call in the target value design or delivery process, continuous estimating. You see more really activity going on, and this was something he was giving also a lot of explanation on what happened during these times. So it's continuous estimating is a very important facilitation for this target value design as well. So I don't have time to get into the construction phase, as I said, and maybe in a part two we will, but we had only 12 RFIs on this project that took, it was supposed to take 9 months or 10 months of construction. We finished it in less than 7 months. And that has a story, actually. But the 12 RFIs, the RFIs did not go underground. The RFIs were really resolved, a lot of them during the design phase, because the presence of the team. And on a project like this, we know that we should have had 165 RFIs based on our average and what we see on other projects. The owner's contingency, we typically have 10 to 15% owner contingency. On this project, we kept it at 3%. Greg Howell, may God be pleased with him, used to say contingency is planned waste. So you see the contingency was only that contingency which we couldn't really explain away, which was hidden conditions. In a renovation, you just don't know what's going to be behind the walls. But there's between the 3% and the 15% we usually have, there's a lot of things that are just assumptions. And that's where you benefit by having this team to work with you on those really unjustified assumptions. And by the performance-based compensation from the risk pool, the scoring came out at the end. This is the green line is the monthly scoring. And if they needed to be at the lighter or olive green or above the olive green to make sure that they get the 100% from the profit pool. So they actually did get at the end all 100% of the profit pool. But you see that these times where the green line dipped, their performance was dipping. And what happens is they meet after that scorecard, and they really talk honestly, why is it dipping? Where are we not following the target value delivery behaviors based on the 5 big ideas? It's really nice to watch. I mean, they just run the whole meeting. And of course, they're incentivized by the risk pool, but it's also nice to hear them because of they really see the benefit. Maybe the partners just their own in their own words. This is some of the specialty contractors. Dr. Lai can share with you also some of the testimonies from Lucille when we worked on some of the junctions and put the last planner system. Very reminds me of the same thing. So the partners were saying, I know exactly what I'm going into. The risk of losing is not there. It's you offset the risk by lowering the profit, but this is not a cost plus. I had an existing conduit that was cored through by the mechanical contractor, and they worked on the way to collaborate to fix that. And it you know, the sense of really their partners is very high in this way of doing things. Fabrication drawings are in hand, you know, and as opposed to having to wait for fabrication drawings and the whole cycle of that submittal process. So did we get our value? This is a comparison between different dining halls. Shaw Dining, the cost per seat is the lowest in all of these, but you also see even the comparable size, the Penn State one, Brody Dining, Case Dining are at Michigan State University, and Shaw Dining was at Michigan State University. We put Penn State just as one of the examples from another university. We have more seating in 24,000 square feet. And so the density of the seating is also a factor here. So when I talked about generating more value in lean, so it doesn't, thinking about lean construction as only reducing the cost of producing or having the cost per seat go down by doing better flooring or better painting, better in terms of productivity. That's following maximized value, minimize waste. When you add more seats, that's generating value for the owner. So if you figure out how to generate seats, because what the assistant vice president who actually is responsible for these dining halls told me when they were talking about a feature in the project, we said, you know, they worked on the loading dock and we reduced the cost of the loading dock, and you know it's an amazing case study. He said, will students eat on the loading dock? I said, well, you're right, they're not going to eat on the loading dock, but it's still a nice, very nice case study. So you have to really think about generating value is an important part that we sometimes miss. So the Shaw Hall Dining Center before, this is the picture before, this is really after. So it's the problem we have now is getting students to leave the dining hall. So they come in, they put down their bags, and they stay there almost, you know, for hours. So they eat and they stay because it's so nice, as you see, compared to what it was before. So it's we'll take that, but I mean the rotation of students coming in and out is something that was interesting. It's not as big of a problem, but it was interesting to see that they now like to congregate in these dining halls. So for my lessons learned, and Dr. Luai is popped up, so that means he's telling me I need to wrap up. I guess that one of the important questions, and I'll keep these, share these slides with you. I think if I can share one or two, the who's in the agreement. So who do you add into the multi-party agreement is something that needs to be considered carefully. The rule of thumb is if you have 15% or more of construction costs, you should be in the multi-party agreement. However, it needs to be considered based on the scope of your work and how many trades are dependent on your work, other than the construction cost. Another also aspect is the vetting of unit prices to remove profits and contingencies is a very awkward discussion with the specialty contractors, with the general contractor, and with the architect, because it really they feel awkward if you say you're for the architect you charge $100, but out of that, what is your profit and what is your what are all the contingencies you have in it? They feel challenged until this becomes something that is they're comfortable with. So I'll skip this, and another thing that I would also just share is when we train and have training and you know are in a setting where things are controlled, like this young kid who's practicing on hitting a ball off of a tee. You know, that's it looks easy, but when you're in the really real conditions, whether design or construction, that's our gimbal. That's our where value actually takes place, and you're gonna realize that you need to make adjustments and you need to reduce the struggles, learning by doing. And that's where when you're in the real conditions, you need to have patience and faith that the process will work out if you just continue to apply it. So don't give up on the process. And I'll stop here for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq.
You're very welcome. I look forward to questions if okay,
As always, the enjoyment of listening to you always forces me to compromise on the question and answer time.
you're very kind, Dr. Luay.
Okay, so now I would like to invite the participants to raise their questions in the question and answer. And also, you can also post your pluses and deltas in the chat box. So start with a plus and describe the plus you want to contribute with, or write the delta and explain the areas of improvement for our next events. So I'll give you some time to post your questions. Meanwhile, I would like to thank Dr. Tariq on behalf of the Board of Directors for his time and contribution again to LCI Qatar and to the lean construction community in Qatar. Thank you very much, Dr. Tariq, and we look forward for the next event to be in person, inshallah. Back to Qatar.
And I would thank you very much for all your compliments and nice comments. I always enjoy being with our friends at LCI Qatar and in the region, and the part two, if we get a chance to do it, I will focus more on the construction side, inshallah. And one of our colleagues was asking really the difference between contract in lean and cost plus. It's really the risk pool. So the risk pool is a big difference, and how it actually is set up and how it incentivizes others to the parties to work together. And the multi-party agreement, everybody signs it, so it's different than the cost plus. So.
Okay, so let us go quickly through the questions. We have an early question from Farid Al-Shawa. I believe that was during the validation phase.
Yes.
Farid is asking, did you pay just the architect and the general control? I think
contractor.
General contractor at that point, or did you retain and pay other professionals?
For us, we only had the architect and the general contractor construction manager. So we only paid them their professional hours. We did not feel that the validation phase needed more professionals. If we did, we would have had to pay them, and some projects do. So you might bring on the mechanical, electrical, and so on. So you'd have to pay them. But remember, the validation phase is really just you're allowing the team to make a decision. So it's not too extended, but it's also not too short, so that they can make a decision.
Next question, after a big thank you, I want to ask, how was the training and coaching aspect take place throughout the design phase to keep people informed and not to lose track? This is from Samer Ghawi. تحياتنا سامر.
أهلا Samer. Hello, Samer. That's yeah. We designed that to be 8 days of training, and those 8 days were sprinkled throughout the. At least we had 3 days before we started anything, so those were concentrated, and then the 5 days were sprinkled throughout the schematic design, mostly that, and then finished during detailed design. So that was just how it worked scheduling wise, Samer. There probably is a better way to schedule it based on making it closer to when we're going to apply things. Like CBA, choosing by advantages, it was too far from the time it was going to be applied. So as I said, you find yourself repeating the training when you're going and doing the actual implementation. But training has these challenges.
Next question from Mazen. I have a question about the location of loading dock. Was it close to the dining center? I think the location might help in moving the materials in a quick manner to be available for the construction team to start the work once they got the material quickly.
It's as if Mazen was actually with us during the beginning of construction. You know, Samer, Mazen, sorry, the loading dock, unfortunately, they began to make a huge hole there and start to do piling, and they limited the access completely to that loading dock, and entering from the main doorways was limited by the owner because of this is a living residence home. And the superintendent was very upset because that particular detail was not discussed during design. And I'll tell you why, because the general contractor did not bring the superintendent early enough. They were convinced that the senior estimator and their project executive is enough. It was a bad decision. So you're very perceptive, regarding that. Once that was available, it made things much easier, as you said.
Okay, next, Remy is touching the nerve. Can we start the lean process while the project is in process and construction phase, or it must be from the first stages of the design?
Yeah, Remy, that's when Dr. Luay was doing his project in Lucelle, it was really during construction, and that did not dissuade him from applying the last planner system. You can always start. You have to be realistic in how much you're going to get back. So, but you're going to get back really benefits, but they're going to be proportional really to the time that you started the process in. And if it's the design build or construction management only without lean IPD, you can still do some of the target value design or delivery. It's again, the best thing is the lean integrated project delivery. So that would be my. I don't know if Dr. Luay has comments, and colleagues on the call, also on the webinar, if you have responses also that our colleagues would benefit from, please chime in.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Tariq. Next question is from Ala, and after the thank you, what obstacles did you face while implementing lean in the project during the construction phase.
And I think Ali bin Muhammad Muhammad, I think, is your name. Your name reminded me of a friend from Maghreb. I apologize. Some of the challenges there were the handoffs that we had to non-members of the multi-party contract. So we had some contractors who bid the project because we thought we had the scope under control and we understood what exactly the work will be. So that was a challenge to bring them in on site and have them understand the last planner system, or understand the tools we want to use and the methods, and they were not really involved during the pre-construction phase. So that's why I was mentioning you have to really think hard about who's in the agreement, and it was a owner decision, fearing the increase in cost in pre-construction because we're paying professional hours, but it all paid off during the construction phase. So that was one big challenge, is really the trades that were not involved in the pre-construction phase and getting them up to speed.
Next question from Ibrahim Khalifa. Ibrahim, I give you the permission to talk. Can you turn on your mic?
Yeah.
Ibrahim Khalifa.
اهلا دكتور.
السلام عليكم. ازيك يا ابراهيم؟
ازيك يا دكتور طارق؟ ازي حضرتك؟
الله يخليك.
يعني
So I don't want to misunderstand your question, so if you can ask it live.
Actually, يعني you surround me, Dr. Lai. I always want you to explain. It will be better than me. Actually, my question is linked to the ethics. I believe that any contractor would like to maximize his benefit. So, honestly speaking, as a contractor, I always will hide my real prices in order to get more benefits. I don't know. I believe that to apply the let's say, if you allow me, Dr. Tar and Dr. Lai, the contractually relations as per the lean culture, we need to first to believe in some ethics. If you allow me, I don't know. That's what I believe. Okay, I will be very clear. I will be very honest with my client. But did the client will allow me to have my benefit? If I guide him for the better way to do it with the cheapest way, and he will tell me, no, that is okay for you. You just take 5%. You just take 10%, and that's enough for you. How we guarantee that?
Right. فين السؤال?
السؤال, when we explain the lean culture for our colleagues, shall I say for them that lean need different ethics or different principles between client and the contractor? That's it. Or can be applied in our current situation.
I'm more على transparency issues.
Exactly, Dr. Lai.
طيب. تمام.
For that I told
Dr. Tariq.
Yeah, I understand where Ibrahim is coming from on this, and as you recall, I mentioned one of the lessons we learned is the awkwardness that we had in these discussions with trade partners and the architect and the general contractor when we would ask them about, okay, you gave me the professional hours. We know the professional hours from other projects, the non-lean projects. So the drop in the professional hours was not reasonable. So the profit, we're only making $5 profit. I mean, between these rates. So it was awkward in that sense, and the reason is for that was fear. So there was fear that not about showing their actual prices as much as the risk. They don't understand how the risk is going to happen. So you had to educate. And one of the things they would put into their rates are sometimes contingencies that the owner already has accounted for. For example, parking. We have told them we will pay your parking because we have parking covered for all your labor and everything. We still found, in some of the unit prices, some of their they put in contingency for parking. So it's small things like that. So Ibrahim, I would say, if you're going to go to integrated lean project delivery, when you have the contractual discussion, that has to be, the point you're raising has to be discussed there about the transparency. If you're not doing integrated lean project delivery, you're doing construction management or you're doing design build, and you'd like to use target value delivery, this transparency is not required. So it's more about how you get people to collaborate about the problem of design. So that's really what you have the discussion based on the level of lean that you're applying. So it's not one. It's not either or. It's and both, or both and. So excuse me.
مهندس عبد الله الباكر معنا؟
معك.
يا مرحبا.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
كيف عبد الله.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq, for a great lecture. Happy to see you again. Inshallah, we'll see you in Doha.
Likewise.
I would love to have something being produced by you and the lean in Qatar, like a small book defining lean in both English and Arabic. If this is possible to happen, will be great.
Wow, this is a great initiative, Mohandas Abdullah.
We have a lot of people, and we like you to be part of it, to lead this effort, so we can have a book published within Qatar about the lean.
By the way, Engineer Abdullah is on vacation now in London, UK. Yet still he joined us with our events virtually. I didn't want to disturb you, Engineer Abdullah. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, my dear. It's my pleasure to be part of it. Thank you.
And thank you for the suggestion. You've been consistent about this for the last 8 years. and we will inshallah really work on
do something.
Get sincerely. Yes. We have a lot of colleagues on the webinar that I'm sure will contribute also.
Next question from Arun. How far percentage can we optimize the budget cost of projects to project expenses by using lean project delivery? Yeah,
so Aaron, when I said, we started from, saying what would, if we put this project on the market, we will get this price, and let's say 25 million. And if we use lean project delivery, the average savings is 20%. So the average. So that's an average based on multiple projects that have used lean project delivery. So it could be 50%, it could be 10%. So the distribution is different. So we use 20% off of that 25, and so we said, okay, 20% off of 25 million. So we should be able to use to save 5 million. So we docked it down to 5 million, to 20 million. And then we said, well, our available budget right now is 18. So it's the 20 is not going to cut it. And even we were a little not greedy but optimistic that the team can go even below 18. So to your question, it's you need to see what the market is able to. If you put this on the market, what will it cost? And the team works from that in the validation phase and really looks at if they're comfortable with what the owner thinks they can actually afford. And I'll tell you why the 18 we wanted to go less than 18. And I'm just using numbers, not the correct numbers, but just for example. The reason is this project is part of a basket of projects. So, so if we save more money here, we can put it in another project for more program. So that's, we were not just looking at, so we could have spent the 18. We could have said to the team, 20 is not going to work, but we have 18, go ahead and spend the 18. We wanted to also challenge the team a little bit so that we can have more money for other programs.
Next question from Ferrell about the risk pool. How did you manage to negotiate the categorization of risks and how to make concessions on this delicate subject?
Yeah, the contract really gives that, Ferrell, that we signed. It says there has to be a risk pool, and the risk pool is made up of your profit. So for a simple case, if your construction cost as an electrical contractor is 2 million and you're expecting 5%, to engineer Brahim's point, you're expecting 5% or 8% profit. You add that to the 2 million and you figure out that that's whatever the number is, and you're going to put that in the profit pool. So you were competing against other electrical contractors. Some of them put 10% profit because we told them it's 2 million. The construction cost is going to be around 2 million. You have to work within the 2 million, but what's going to be your profit? So they were really bidding on the profit. So 5%, 6%, 8%, whatever it is. We took the one we thought is responsible. So once that money is in the profit pool, now it's about distributing it out. As I said, because they were not comfortable for all of the risk pool money to be distributed based on adhering to the lean behaviors in the 5 big ideas, which is honestly what I was recommending, which that was too much, too very strict. We went with 65% CM. To your point, we had to negotiate this. They kept saying 75% CM and 25% your lean ideals or lean behaviors. So we kept negotiating that, and it was an open discussion because we're afraid. We don't think we can meet these lean behaviors. This is for some of them it was the first project they do as lean. So you have to be open as an owner also. So that's how we arrived to 65-35. The next project we didn't do this. It was really close to 100% on the lean ideals.
I thought this is very quiet group because there was no discussions on the chat box. But I have just realized that it was disabled. So I have just enabled it now for you to share your pluses and deltas, please. Okay, next is Ayman. Ayman is not a basketball fan. Although I know what's
Ah.
Gampa walk,
No.
I didn't understand the example of the basketball. So if you can
Yeah.
explain it to him with other.
Yeah, Ayman, it would be maybe you know cricket, I guess, is close, but even soccer, you know. So you're learning soccer in a you know, a junior league or youth, and the youth are learn. You remember when we learned how to kick the ball and it was tied to a rope, and you kick the ball, and it comes back to you, so it doesn't go away. So that's the very training part. When you're in the actual game, that's the game conditions. That's what we call game conditions. كل حاجة بتتغير. Everything changes. So when we were applying this in a couple of Dr. Luai's projects, the game conditions, the real condition, GIMBA, the site, you have to sometimes adjust and adapt, and so the learning by doing presents some challenges. So what I was trying to say is that, you know, allow yourself that grace and forgiveness. If you learn something and you're applying it and it's not working, don't say that this process sucks and this process is bad and why did you teach us this, Dr. Luai? And you know, don't go there. I mean, just give yourself some opportunities to go keep working on it.
Okay, next question. What is your advice when we encounter strong resistance to change? $1 million question.
Yeah, wallahi, Abu Saeed, thank you, Ayman. I'm glad that that's example is clearer. Wallahi, Abu Saeed, this would be not just for you know, the highest level of lean implementation, which is a lean integrated project delivery. Even if you're just working with getting reliable commitments, the last planner system application, you get resistance. I mean, what works is really trying to understand the reasons for it. 99% of the time, resistance is caused by real concern, and go with that as a attitude. 1% is caused by just someone doesn't want to change, but it's usually somebody doesn't know how, or they are just really don't have the training and don't know how to do it. So and they need the discussion. So in even with Qatar applications with Dr. Luai, there was resistance, but we tried to understand what are they worried about, and to Dr. Luai's credit, he facilitated some of the issues they had, or they were thinking they were going to be penalized because of this or because of that. So and sometimes, Saeed, it's somebody doesn't want to change, you have to change. If the people don't change, you have to change the people. Sometimes you have to take, that drastic measure, but it's not that, you know, exhaust all possibilities first.
I learned patience from Dr. Tariq.
Jazakallah khair.
Last question from
welcome,
Ahmad. When the agreement is signed?
The first, initially we signed just an agreement for the validation study. That was just a contract between us and the architect and the contractor. Once they finished the validation study, we signed the contract itself. So that was so it was immediately after the validation phase. So that because they agreed and we went ahead with signing the contract. There was no we didn't wait to schematic design to end or detailed design to end, nothing. We signed the contract after the validation phase. Then we began to add the trade partners based on, as I said, this bidding that they had to do based on their profit, and we continued.
Tamam. Alfredo, are you there?
Yes, Doc. Yes.
Yes, if you want to do some concluding statement from the Education Committee. Alfredo
Okay,
is the
Doc.
Director of Education and Training. Please.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of LCI Qatar, I would like to thank Dr. Tariq for sharing with us his valuable time and giving us a very informative webinar about the real application of IPD as he has experienced. I also would like to thank our Vice President, Engineer Abdullah Al-Bakr, for joining us despite his vacation in London. And of course, Dr. Luay for his time and effort for putting this up. Our Director for Training and Education is not here with us, but I'm sure he'd be happy to join us, but he's on travel right now.
Alfredo,
I'd
you
like
want
also-
to go to upcoming events?
Yes, sir. I'd like also to take this opportunity to invite everyone, especially those who have not yet taken this training and certification. We have 2 upcoming virtual lean education program that we're going to be having sometime September 27. The first one is on September 27.
February.
Yeah.
February.
February 27, sorry. And one will be every Fridays. Will please just be just get in touch with us, and we'll give you more information about the second one. And then we also have a free training. This will be from Dr. Koskela, the one who formulated the theory or the TFV, no?
Yes.
So this is a free webinar.
In person. This one.
And in person, yes.
Yes,
This is face to face. So, and since it is free, I'd like to invite everyone to join us. Now, it will be on February 8th. Oh, this one, I don't know about this. Okay.
This is
And
this is a surprise.
Wow, this is from Dr. Glenn Ballard, the root of all of this. So we have one on from March 1, 2023. Okay, this is a webinar with Dr. Glenn Ballard.
He's going to present his new book titled Target Value Delivery of Building Projects. And I think Dr. Tariq give you enough motivations and incentives to instill your motivations to learn more about target value delivery.
That's an event not to miss. Do not miss any of the other events as well, of course.
Yeah.
And this is another event with the book review series on March 8th. with very interesting topic on lean startup with Dr. Mokhtar. And don't forget to stop by our booth at the CIC conference starting tomorrow. And if you have not yet a member, please join LCI Qatar. This is the website to start your lean transformation journey. I would like to thank Alfredo for his closing remark, and thank you, Dr. Tariq, for your great webinar and another great learning experience from you. Next time, we look forward to see you here in Doha.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure being with you this time.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Tariq, if you have monitored our chat, there are lots of attendees today that are looking forward to the part 2 that you have mentioned a while ago.
Yes.
Yes, we will organize that and share with them, and that would be great.
Inshallah. And at the end, thank you for all the participants for their attention and time. And we look forward for your participations in upcoming events. Thank you all. Bye now. Stay safe.
Assalamu alaikum.
So.